Yo, Eric Dubois with EDP-Beats.com. Today is a little ugly, it's a little grayish in Hawaii, and I'm sick, so I apologize for my voice and my runny nose and all that cool stuff. It does happen in Hawaii from time to time. But the cool thing is that today, for What's in Stock, we're gonna talk about Autopan. Autopan is one of my favorite, definitely the top 3 stock plugins that I use all the time in Ableton. So I've talked about Autopan in some of my previous videos and some cool tricks you can do with Autopan. So I'm just gonna go over 2 cool tricks that I usually do with Autopan to show you a little bit the full capacity and what you can do with Autopan. The first trick I'm gonna show you is how you can use it as a sidechain compressor. If you're using, especially if you're doing dance music, instead of using a sidechain compressor and sidechaining your kick to the compressor on all of your synths and having it bounce like that, you don't need to do it, especially when it's 4 to the floor type beats. An Autopan is all you need, and it sounds even better and it's more precise and it just rocks. Second trick I'm going to talk to you guys about is using another layer of Autopan to create some movement in your snares or in any type of instrument that you want discreetly in the back, just to give it a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more spice to your music. So let's go through it right now. What's in stock? Autopan. Okay, so as you can see here, I pulled out guitar sample that I have, an idea of mine that I recorded a while back and I haven't used it in my track. So I pulled one of these guitars that I did and just a basic drum rack from Ableton, the Abyss kit, which is super easy. Made a quick beat out of it. So nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, just a basic little small, chill, dance type beat, even though we're super slow, but who cares, not the point. What I'm gonna show you today is on the guitar and how we can sidechain this kick to the guitar to make the 2 tracks glue together and sound perfectly in shape without using a compressor and without using any fancy plugins, just using the Autopan. Since our kick is super regular, we have this 4 to the floor type of kick, so it's really easy to control, really easy to deal with, so an Autopan is perfect for that. So let's drag in our Autopan right now. Boom. This is how it looks like by default. There's not a lot of settings, but it's super easy to control everything. So the first thing that you can do is the amount. You can choose how much of the panning you want it to do. The rate is gonna help you select the timing, what speed. So you can either choose in hertz or you can choose in beats. The phase is actually the phase of the right and left signals, how you want it to be. If you want it to be right on one side, come through, you can move that phase around, drop it, cancel out the phase so it's only a volume automation, or just get it a little bit off to give it a little bit more funk to the sound. The shape is the shape of your signal. So have it, if you're using a sine wave signal, for example, you can have it a little bit more square and just control the shape a little bit better. Normal is normal. This will allow you to invert. So for example, if we're using one of these different signals here, if we're using this saw wave, for example, and we hit the invert, it's gonna flip it. So instead of starting from the top, it's gonna start from the bottom. Really cool to do. And these 2 buttons, actually, I'm not really sure what it is, so we're gonna pull out our info pad. And that's one of the buttons that I don't really play around with, so let's see what it says. LFO stereo mode. These buttons switch the method of LFO offset between phase and spin. Ooh, okay, cool. So that's pretty cool. So actually you can see you have phase, so that's to have the right and the left signal different, and you can control the position of the right signal or the other one, but both of them are going at the same speed, right? Now, the other button allows you to actually control the spin, so you're gonna make the other signal just a bit faster and a bit quicker, can give you some cool effects. So that's something I'm definitely gonna try out later on. Now, let's get back into business. So I'm gonna take this off, put the default back in. And now what I wanna do is I want this Autopan to be just a volume automation and to duck at every quarter note every time that kick hits. So very easy, we're gonna set the amount all the way up and take the phase all the way down. This is gonna cancel the stereo effect, and now we just have a volume automation. So let me show you how it sounds like alone first. with it on. So as you can see, it just controls the volume of our signal. So it just ducks it and brings it back up slowly and back down in a sine form. So to get this a little bit more precise, we're gonna click on the beats and we're gonna select it, quarter notes. And I also want it to be a triangle and not a square, I also want it to be a triangle signal, a saw, I think it's a saw. So I'm gonna select the signal to be a saw shape, and I'm gonna hit that invert because I want the volume to duck when the kick hits, and the kick hits on the 1. So we're gonna start from the bottom, and then the volume is gonna slowly raise up to the top. Kick is gonna hit again, slowly raise up to the top, yeah? And play with the shape a little bit to just give it a nice little curve and bring it back in. And now let's hear what we have. Now without. So pretty cool. Let's add the drums without, and then we're gonna add our auto pan right after. And there we go. So we're gonna hear the kick is boosting right through. We're getting this bounce from the guitar thanks to the auto pan that's really moving in sync with the kick. And yeah, so that's the first trick that I use auto pan every single time for if I'm making a 4 to the floor type beat. I always use auto pan instead of compressors to sidechain things around and to give it a good bounce. It's just so much easier, uses less CPU, and it's just more precise and better. All right, so now what I want to do is with this simple snare here, so what I want with this effect is to add a little bit more movement to the snare and make it sound a little bit fuller and just make it sound not as dry as it is right here. So what I want to do is I want to add a reverb, and then that reverb tail, just the reverb tail, like what we talked about in the audio effects rack before, just the affected part of the signal, I want it to kind of move around in space and give it a cool little vibe. So what we're gonna do is, like I explained in the previous video, we're gonna make an audio effect rack, create a few layers so that we can control only the effects of our reverb. So first off, let's bring in the reverb. Slide it right there behind our snare. Awesome. This reverb, we're gonna group it. We're gonna open up this little chain selection here, create a new chain. The first one is called reverb. Drag this back over here so you can see it better. Put the dry wet knob all the way up. So now let's kind of listen and see our volumes real quick. Okay, cool. Now we have this affected signal right here. And what we want with this affected signal, we're gonna add our auto pan. Let's just drag it right here. Oh shit. Okay, so now we have our auto pan here. We're gonna do the same thing as what we did for the guitar. So I'm gonna raise the amount all the way up. I'm gonna cancel out the phase, and then I'm gonna play around with the sine wave, the different wave types that we have, and try to find like a cool sound. Already, let's listen to it again without the auto pan. So nothing too crazy, it just sounds like a snare with the reverb. Now let's add the auto pan, and you're automatically gonna feel that movement in that extra space that we just created. So that sounds pretty cool already. We're only controlling the reverb part of the signal, and actually what it's doing is it's ducking the volume of the reverb a little bit after, quarter notes after that the snare hits, and then bringing it back up. So we're getting like a double peak of reverb coming through, which is really cool. Let's listen to it without again. Speed it up, see how it goes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Autopan, you can have a lot of fun with it. You can create some really cool tremolo type effects with Autopan. Let me show you real quick what I mean by that. So let's keep this. Let's go back to our guitars real quick, and I'll make you like a quick. Okay, so to make a quick like tremolo effect, what we do is turn the shape all the way up because we want it as a square, and then make it kind of quick. Lower the amount just a bit, and we have that nice little tremolo going on in the background. That sounds pretty nice. And again, we're just automating the volume. We're not doing any kind of crazy stereo spinning around, stuff like that. So this is just to add a little bit of texture and a little more complexity into your beats, just to make it sound a bit more, just to make it sound different. So yeah, hope you guys are gonna be starting to use Autopan as much as I do. I love it, it's the best. The first time I learned about these tricks was from Mad Zach, maybe like 6 years ago or so, who was using Autopan all the time, and I've realized a lot of producers do use Autopan to control volume automation, and it's just great. I love it, and yeah, hope you guys are gonna be using it a little bit more. Once again, Eric Dubois. Follow me on Instagram if you like a bunch of cool tips and some cool stuff on how we make beats here in Hawaii. Much love to you guys, and I'll see you guys next week for more stuff. Peace.